Now that the scan is done, it automatically popped it open in to Photoshop. And here is our plate. I'm going to rotate it. Oops, sorry. Image rotation clockwise. And also this negative is going to be flipped because of the emulsion being scanned down. So let's go image, rotation, flip canvas, horizontal. Now we want to go to image and we want to invert it, adjustment, here we go, adjustment, invert, which is also Command I. Great, and that looks horrible, right? Well, that's because we have a very long tonal range, and it's maybe more high key image. We're getting these deep shadows in this area for our shadow value, and our highlight was somewhere up here. So I'm going to relocate those values. And how I do that, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it right from your curve menu, and I believe it's Alt. Let's see, Control, is it? Sorry, yes. That is by using Option and sliding my marquee or my curve. I can find out where my deepest shadow is, but then I have to kind of visually locate it and then do a shift click. I found a better way to do that. Let's cancel that, and we'll go to Image Adjustment Threshold. And what threshold allows me to do is move the amount of where my tonal value starts to come in. So looking at my brightest highlight, I can move it in, and I want to try to find something that's going to be representative of the whole image, not just maybe this brightest area where it's coming in, which I'm going to go right about here and pick this value. And the same thing on the shadows. These areas, you'll see it start coming in around the border. Those areas are clipped. And here again, I think I'm going to go back to this value in these roots, and we'll shift click that. Now, since this was since this was grayscale, it's going to give our values in from 0% being pure black and 100% being pure white. And what we want to do is, I like to change these to RGB, which I can then just measure my values in here, which is, I can go by some standards. So we'll open up our curves, and that is shortcut Command M, or you can go up to Image Adjustment, Curves. And now we know our value up here is 243, which, as I said before, 255 is pure white and 0 is pure black. So we want to bring down our shadows because you can see it's a value of 51. So we're going to bring those down to 15, and I like 245 for a highlight. Okay, so now it still looks kind of washed out and a bit too bright. So I can take maybe this value in here, and if I just click, it'll show me where that value is on my curve. So I can actually do a shift click, or I'm sorry, command click, no. Command click, yes. Command click will give me the point right on my curve. So I can then pull those values down, and you can watch how this is affecting our highlight and shadow. So I'm going to pull my shadow back up and maybe brighten my highlight a little bit more. And let's see, we'll bring this up a tiny bit and pull our shadows back. Good, so now we're getting in the ballpark. So I like to get it a rough, good quality image, and we'll say OK to this, and we'll do File, Save As. So we save our original scan. This one I'm just going to put a B at the end, then I'll know which one it is. No compression. and we'll close that. Now I like to use Camera Raw for opening these because it's got a nice tool in it. Adobe Camera Raw is built into the CS suite. And now if you look at our histogram that comes up, you'll see our shadows are clipped, but now that is these deepest values along the edge and maybe where the film was underexposed here, but I'm maintaining this to be my shadow point in here. What I like to do is I like this clarity feature. It seems to pull in some separation of the values without clipping my highlight and shadows, and just to separate them a little bit and gives it an edge to it. I'm going to pull off my blacks a little bit, open those up, and maybe bring down the highlights and while pulling up the whites, and maybe tweak the shadows down a little bit in here. So that gives us a good working image. Again, I like that clarity feature just to tweak that a little bit. So now I will open it once again. And from here, I'll do just a little bit of local burning and dodging. Now, with negatives, it takes a little bit of interpretation. It's not like scanning a print. We're not making an exact duplicate of the original. It's much like being in the darkroom. You want to try to make a good quality open print that doesn't look too flat and not too contrasty, while maintaining nice highlight and nice shadows. So it takes some interpretation and a little bit of an eye to build up that skill set. And if I had this in a darkroom, I might burn in some of these midtones a little bit in here. And there's a million ways you can do this, but one of the simplest ways is to use the burn feature here, burn tool, and I'm focusing on my midtones, and I bring the exposure way down to like 6%. And I'll make my brush bigger and just kind of come in here and burn in these midtones. And since it's a huge file, it might be a little slow to make that adjustment. And yeah, a little difference there. Oh, let's gotta do another one. So I would do a little bit of fine tuning there, maybe dodge out some of the deepest shadow points along here. Just to open those up a little bit. And maybe take a look at the curve again. What I'll do is bring this value down a touch. And make sure we don't have any clipping here. Okay, that's got a nice look to it. Let's just do a zoom in here just so you can kind of see how the image is looking for detail. And one other trick here, we're just going to do an unsharp mask. So we're going to go sharpen, unsharp mask, and we'll bring this down a bit. It looks like the original is a little soft in here. I would do 60% sharpening at 0.7. We might not even see a real difference. Okay, so there is our raw, our archival TIFF scan. We can then print this so that I can use it for rephotographing. I'll make derivatives of this and apply the new image of the scene over top, and we'll be all set. So I hope that's clear, and more to come. Thanks.